Hello again, everyone. Ken from Whittling Woods back again with another whittling demonstration. We're going to call this one not a tutorial, demonstration. If you're looking for beginner tutorials, check down in the description. I have a bunch of beginner-orientated tutorials that'll step you through a lot of different things. This is going to be more of a demonstration than anything else. Today, depending on when you're watching this video, but right now it's February 12th. 2024, which happens to be the 215th birthday of the 16th President of the United States, Abraham Lincoln. He was born on February 12th, 1809. And we're going to do a little bust of Mr. Lincoln here in this piece of eastern white pine. It's 4 inches long, 1.25 inches, 1.125 We're going to use this old Rough Rider pocket knife that I have. Mr. Lincoln carried around a pocket knife, it is my understanding, and he did his fair bit of whittling, as did a lot of people in those days. So we're going to do this with the pocket knife in honor of his birthday. So let me get everything set up, and I'll be right back. Okay, here we are. We're going to start with the larger blade. Just going to take down the edges a bit and try to round out the piece. We're going to do, it's iconic, his stovepipe hat that he wore, and we're going to kind of do that on this whittle here. So what I'm going to do here is just round off the top of it, try to establish the brim of the hat, which is going to be the part of the whittle that kind of sticks out from the wood the most. So everything else is going to have to be slightly more recessed than that. So we're going to start by defining that boundary. And to do that, I'm just going to round out the piece of wood. So a lot of this video, I'm just going to kind of zoom through parts so you don't have to sit through it. Like I said, it's more of a demonstration than anything else. So let me just kind of zoom through that. Okay, that's kind of rounded down enough for the time being. We'll establish the bottom of the brim of the hat. We'll say maybe right about here, and I'm just going to kind of go around and start cutting out that part. Now, the thing to keep in mind with whittles like this is that the wood gets very fragile. If you can imagine, that's a pretty thin brim. We obviously can't cut it. Make it as thin as it would be in real life. It would crack too easy. So it's not going to be as prominent in terms of its overall diameter or circumference, so to speak, compared to the hat itself, because again, it would be too fragile. So you make one thing about whittling, if you're doing it kind of caricature type things like this, these aren't anatomical studies. You want to kind of take into consideration the wood and the material you're using. So in this case, this wood, and specifically this eastern white pine, it's a good alternative in some ways to basswood, but it's definitely a lot more fragile and prone to break out. You can kind of see the grain on it's pretty pronounced. So it will chip and break. So you got to kind of take your time if you're using it. And this is just some eastern white pine I picked up as dimensional lumber at one of the big box stores. So there might be better whittling eastern white pine in different locations, but this is real cheap, and I got a bunch of it. So I also have a lot of basswood. I certainly could have used basswood for this too, but I don't know, something about the eastern white pine and pocket knife and Abe Lincoln just all seem to kind of make sense. But there you go. We sort of have what will eventually be the the brim of the hat. It'll probably, the top part of the brim will come to here. And in this area, we're just going to start trimming back a little bit here for the head. The ears are going to be over here. They're going to be just below the hat. The eyes are going to be basically, the eyes and the nose are going to come up. He's wears it pretty low on the forehead, so they'll be about here too. So what I'm going to do here is start thinning out the face area, but this is the front of the front of his face. So I'm going to start thinning this out. Lincoln had a pretty narrow face. And fun fact, he was 6 foot 4 inches, tallest president ever, even compared to some of the presidents today. He's still ranks as the tallest president. So, and you can imagine back in 1861 when he was elected president, how big he looked. And I think he wore the stovepipe hat, which was a common thing back in those days, but he wasn't hiding his height. So I think some people wore him back then because they wanted to look taller. He wore it because he knew he was tall and he was going to really emphasize that, I guess. But by trade, he was a lawyer. We won't hold that against him, of course, but he really was self-educated. I know that's the common thing you hear about him, but it's from everything I read on him. He was, for the most part, self-educated. He eventually did get an honorary degree, law doctoral degree from Columbia University when he became president in 1861, but for the most part, he was self-educated. And it's kind of funny because, formal education was pretty much the norm for a long time, and now we're finding that with all the proliferation of available information, a lot of people are coming back to being self-educated. So maybe it's a good thing. You don't waste time learning a lot of things that you don't need to know. But there you go. I'm going to thin this out a little bit more even because I really want to get it down a bit. Because it's got to look like his head is fitting up into the main part of the hat. So we're going to kind of take this down. Otherwise it looks like the hat is just kind of propped on top of the top part of his head if you don't do it that way. But anyway, rather than bore you with all my blathering here, I'm just going to kind of speed through this part here. Okay, it looks a little odd right now, but that's kind of a bit how we're going to go here. His ears are going to, his whole head will be about maybe that narrow. You see where the knife is on that side and on that side, because we're going to leave a little one over here for his ears. And then the hat, I'm not going to make the brim, like I said, too pronounced. It'll come out a little bit, but again, I want to make sure it looks like his whole head is going into to the hat, not just sitting on top of his head. But anyway, what I'm going to do here is switch to a smaller knife. I don't need a big blade anymore, and when I do that, I'll be right back. Okay, smaller blade. I just reinforced the lines on the side because the ears are going to be basically the front part of the ear is going to sit right on that line there and go towards the back. We're going to kind of establish where the top of the nose is. I'm going to tuck it right up into almost as high as the hat itself. Again, it's going to be sitting down. The hat's supposed to be sitting down on his forehead, so you're not going to see much of his forehead. And it should be, the his ears should be tucked just right under the brim, and your ears kind of come up to where your eyes are anyway. So we're gonna work with that. So I'm just trimming out the top of the nose and where the eyes are going to be here. I mentioned in a number of my videos about the asymmetry of the face, and if you take a look at Lincoln's face, there's a lot of asymmetry in his face, and for whittling, that's a good thing because we don't have to be perfect. So kind of like that, we'll start to establish where his nose will be. And we're going to come back in here and bring this down a little bit as well. And again, if you're interested in tutorials on the nose and the mouth and eyes and stuff like that, I'm gonna have those links down below. So feel free to check them out, see if you find them useful or not. We'll put the bottom of the nose probably right about here, I think. Lincoln had a fairly large nose, not huge, but he had a fairly large nose, so I think I'm going to go right about here. I'd rather start a little bit longer than I need, maybe, because then I'm going to trim some off. Okay, now that we have that kind of established, we can mark where we think the nose should be. So I'm going to go probably like right here. I start off a little bit larger and then I kind of start to bring it in a little bit. Kind of like that. There you go. Now, what I typically do is put the smile lines in on the sides of the mouth and coming from the nostril area down along the sides of the mouth. So that's what we're going to do once I can clean this up a little bit in here. So we're going to say the nostrils are going to be probably in this area right here. Maybe one here and one here, give or take. I'll just put little pencil marks in there so we know what we're doing. And then we're going to come down and Lincoln had a pretty craggy face in that regard, so he's a good subject to whittle. Whittling works good on craggy faces and predominant smile lines and all that kind of stuff. It seems to really work well in those type of characters. sort of like so. We're going to wind up taking that back quite a bit. And then we'll do the same thing on this side over here. Okay, for the nostrils, I'm just going to kind of I'm going to just put little notches, one there to start them out, and then one over here. And I'm just going to remove some of the wood above both of them. Okay. We'll shape the nose a little bit more as we move along here, but that's basically it for now. We can start considering where the mouth is going to be. So I'm going to say, let's look at this location. So I'm going to start removing some wood underneath it, because we don't need all that wood underneath there. Then we can put a little stop cut in for the mouth. I'm just going to go straight across. And then carefully cut up to it. And what I'm going to do is switch to a smaller blade here. And then we're going to come in the corners of the mouth and just kind of notch it out a bit. Go there. We want to deepen the corners of the mouth a bit more than they currently are. Alrighty. I'm going to kind of bring the mouth over just a bit more. Something like that, and then same thing on this side. And then for the lip, lower lip, we're going to come in here Again, move a little wood. Deepen that corner even more, and then the same thing on this side. And just kind of finish the lip. I find working with this wood sometimes can be, like I mentioned, it's kind of crumbly, so these small little cuts just don't really work too well in this wood. It's better for larger cuts. I'm really pushing the limits, I think, doing this, but we'll do the best we can. So, kind of a bit of a mouth in there. Now what I want to do is start thinking about where the ears are going to be. They come down right below the nose, so right at the bottom of the nose, I should say. So let's go right about here, and this is when we're going to start thinning the face out quite a bit here, because right now it does not look like Lincoln. And so we'll set that right there is the bottom of that side, and then do the same thing on this side. Come in underneath the nose. You can kind of see what I'm doing here, going in right about where the nose, bottom of the nose is, give or take. There we go. Getting there, thinning it out a bit, and then we're going to come in here right along that line that we left, and maybe just a little in front of it, and just put a stop cut in there, and we're going to start removing some wood here to expose the ears. And it'll also thin the face out quite a bit more, as you can see. The other thing to keep in mind, I'm doing my best to keep the figure, well, not doing my best, but I'm using a piece of wood that's not, it's just almost a squared off piece of wood. So you're going to have certain limitations. It's obviously should be maybe a little bit wider in the back to be more, correct in terms of how a head would really be shaped. But I'm not going to worry about that, because again, these are sort of cartoony in a way. And then the back here, I'm just going to kind of, let's finish that by putting a line in there and removing some wood. This is all going to be hair on the back over here. And like I said, his ears are going to come right up to the bottom of his hat. So the top of the ear is going to sit on the hat there. kind of like that. And we'll shape the ear out a bit more. Sort of like so. We kind of want the ears to pitch a little bit like this, kind of a little bit, you know. So there you go. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side, and I'll be right back. Okay, finish the other ear on that side. Well, I mean, you know, not finished, but close to being finished. I think for the eyes, we'll keep things fairly simple. We're just going to kind of cut out a little bit of wood for the eye area. I'm going to start over here, if you can kind of see where that is, right kind of in over here where the nose and the brow kind of come together. And I'm just going to start taking out little nibbles of wood. Again, since this wood is kind of fragile, I got to really take my time and not push it, otherwise it will chip out and I'll lose the detail that I want. But kind of like that. That's all I'm really going for. I know not to push the limits of this wood any more than is necessary. So I just kind of want to create a little indication that there's an eye in there. Kind of like that. And then underneath we'll create a little bit of a bag under his eye. Lincoln did have some bags under his eyes, especially as his term in office went on. That's really all I'm going for here. I'm not going to push it any more than that because, like I said, I know the limitations of this wood, and I don't want to ruin it anymore, you know. So there you go. I might clean it up a little bit more, but for the most part, that's it. And we're going to do the same thing on this side, so I won't bore you with the details. Be right back. Okay, I got both eyes kind of set in there. Now what I think I'm going to do is form those sideburns into the beard area. So we're just going to come down right along the side of the face over here and just kind of tie it in to the tie it right in there, kind of like so. And then we'll, yeah, I think that's okay. So I'm just going to come straight in the wood like so. And just kind of come down and just a little bit less, a little more shallow down at the bottom over there. And then I'll do the same thing on this side over here. Straight into the wood. Come down, and then a little more shallow on the bottom over there. Just like that. And then I'm going to start thinning this out a bit. Just take a little bit of the cheek away here. Like so. And then we'll do the same thing on this side over here. And up top as well. Kind of getting it in there. Bring this ear back just a little bit more. So we're just basically outlining where the beard is. That's all. And we'll just tie it right into the face over here. For the hair, the back of the hair, we're going to come off the back of the ear, put a little stop cut in there. And I like to establish this because this will tell me where the other part of the beard is going to be, which is going to kind of come down around here and then tie in somewhere in the front. So, but we'll do this first. And I'll thin this out even more. And then for the beard on the side over here, we're going to come in and bring our knife down. We'll make it a little bigger than we probably need to initially, and then we'll cut back, see where we need to go. And start trimming it away. So I'll speed through this. It's pretty straightforward. And you don't have to spend time watching me do that at normal speed. Be right back. Okay, you kind of see where we are now. The beard is going to be a little bit smaller than this. It's a little too big, but better to leave yourself more wood than not enough wood. Now I start just basically refining details at this point here. I'm going to thin out his face a little bit more, so I'm going to kind of come in here along those lines I made for the beard and start trimming that back just a bit. Looking a little bit more like Abe. A little bit. Let me just clean this up a little bit more. Kind of at this point, you're just going to start adding detail. Cleaning it up and adding that detail. That's it. For the ears, I'm going to just take out a little more wood here. We probably trim this a little smaller, this one. And then I just come in here and I put a couple little cuts in here just to give the impression that there's some type of ear there. It's got a little dimension to it, I guess. something along those lines. Just to add a little bit of a little bit more detail on the side there. That's all. Doesn't have to be too crazy. In fact, too much detail there. This looks too busy, I think. If you're doing larger whittles, maybe it makes more sense, but this is small like this. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side, but I won't bore you with those details. So let me get that complete, and I'll be right back. Okay, that's where we're at so far with our little Lincoln figure here, Lincoln bust. I'm just going to put kind of separate where the eyebrows are, just to make this stand out a little bit more. There's no real forehead's going to be shown on you, just the top of the eyebrows. That's all. The hat's tucked all the way down. That's kind of all I do, just kind of separate it out over here. It's a little bit more like a Cossack than he does Lincoln. Big thing on top of his head. So let's fix that. Let's start finishing the hat. Let's get this figure done. What I'm going to do here is just get the main portion of the hat down to the dimension I want. What I'm aiming for is, here's the head dimensions here and here. So I don't want it to come in much beyond that. I want it to, I only want to go about that deep. Like I said, the brow's not going to be that big. I'm going to try to make it look like the head's tucked up into the hat. That's kind of the key here. And then we'll form we'll define the brim a little bit better. So what I'm doing is taking these little scooping cuts here. But anyway, let me kind of fast forward through this part here, since you kind of see what I'm doing. It's just very repetitive. Be right back. Okay, now I want to start forming we're defining the brim, so I'm just going to kind of go around here and start nibbling away at it. And again, this is going to be just kind of repetitive, so I just wanted to kind of jump in here and kind of show you what I'm about to do and what I'm doing. I won't make you sit through the whole thing, so I'll kind of zoom through this. Be right back. Okay, just thought I'd jump in here, kind of, you see where I'm at now. I'm not going to do too much more because it's pretty much where I want. As you can see, what I was talking about, I'm trying to get it so the sides of the head are in line with the main part of the hat, so it looks like the head's kind of tucked up into it and not just propped on top of the head. And the ears end here, so they're obviously not under the hat, but that's kind of the thinking, or at least the way I'm looking at it. And so I don't want to go too much further than that because I'm pretty much where I want to be at this point. It's easy to take too much off and it just doesn't look right. So there you go. Well, you pretty much got the demonstration there of this little Lincoln bust whittle. It wasn't, it takes a little time to do, but it's a interesting little whittle to do. And like I said, they're all kind of slightly cartoony, obviously. And we're using a pocket knife and a piece of cheap Eastern white pine. So you're only going to get so far with that kind of stuff. A cheap pocket knife and a cheap piece of wood. So what you wind up doing is keeping the knife sharp a lot, stropping it, and then doing a lot of cleanup work on your piece. But I don't like to overdo it because once I get to a point, I'm pretty happy. Which this is pretty good. I think we got a pretty good, relatively decent likeness of old Abe. And I think there's one thing I want to do here. He had a bit of a mole right down over here. I mean, it might have been on his. I'm not sure which side of face it was on. When you look at him in the pictures, it looks like it's on his right side, but that could be just the camera. But it was like right down in here. So what I want to do is I'll try. I can take this side down a little bit. Just a little bump in there, that's all. I'm not gonna, if the wood lets us. Kind of like so, if you can see how that goes over there. So just a little feature that if you're looking at it, you go, oh, wait a minute, that is Abe after all. And what I'll do at this point is just some cleanup stuff. And maybe thin some parts of it out just a little bit more. Not too much though. I think we're pretty darn close here. I think we got a pretty decent likeness of Abe. Let me know in the comments if you don't think so. That's fine too. But that's pretty much it. I'm debating about painting this or just staining it. I don't know. I might just darken the hat and the coat a little bit, or the hair. Leave the rest kind of unfinished. I think that might look good. I don't want to go hog wild in that into doing something like that. But that's kind of where we're at now. What I'll do is I'll just kind of clean it up a little bit, and then I'll show you what it looks like. So I'll be back when that's all done. There you go. The whittling's all done. Just figured I'd show you the piece before I put a little paint on it. There's the profile. And there he is. Honest Abe there. Not too difficult of a whittle, but let me put some paint on it and I'll show you. But that's the end of this little demonstration. Hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments and have a great whittling week. Take care.